Yo, what's happening, world? B Marsh Boxing, and I'm back at it with another boxing video. What's happening with y'all? So, the man Tank Davis, the night when Cannoli knocked out Caleb Plant to win all 4 titles, including Lineal Land Ring Magazine titles at 160. Tank Davis went to his Twitter and he tweeted, Canelo is me at 168. Facts. So I'm asking y'all, was the man Tank Davis out of pocket for even tweeting that? What would make him think that that Canelo is him, a guy who started his career at 130, has campaigned at 135 and as high as 140? Why would he think that the man Cannoli is him at 168? That's what puzzles me about that tweet. You know what I mean? Now, Canelo might be the cash cow, or is the cash cow, and, the number one most sought fighter as far as whom people want to fight. You know what I mean? Because, look, in boxing, regardless of what people may think, everybody wants to fight the best. You know what I mean? Now, some may be content with just fighting mediocre opposition and getting a good payday. But if they weren't granted those big paydays and had to really fight somebody, then, they would if the price was right. You know what I mean? Now, there's a lot of fellas out here who are not fighting good fighters, but they still getting fat paydays. And I'm sorry to say, Tank Davis is one of them. Now, he's not yet a pay-per-view star or anything of that sort of nature, although he just fights on pay-per-view. You know what I mean? But at the end of the day, let's talk about it. Why would the man consider Cannoli him at 168? I personally think he's out of pocket. You know what I mean? The man Cannoli has had way more title fights than the man Tank Davis has had. You know what I mean? He almost has as many title fights as Tank Davis has had professional fights. You know what I mean? Him coming out and saying that now, it might have people like us, people like me talking about it, because I'm perplexed and dumbfounded that the man, Gervonta Davis, would really tweet Canelo is me at 168. Facts. Now, Tank Davis is not, look, he's not the most outspoken fighter when it comes to press conferences and that, you know what I mean? He has more barks in his tweets than he does in real life, you know what I mean? As far as when he's at press conferences and whatnot, you know what I mean? He's not a great trash talker, but that's okay, he handles his business with his hands. But unfortunately for Tank Davis, he hasn't fought the caliber of fighters like Canelo has, you know what I mean? Now, some of us may would like Canelo to face better opposition, especially if people want to claim that he's the number one pound-for-pound fighter. Tank Davis is not even in the top, has never ever been in the top 10 pound-for-pound list, you know what I mean? And you don't get in the pound-for-pound list when you go up to fight fellas like Mario Barrios, regular 140-pound champ, when Josh Taylor is the real undisputed 140-pound champ. You know what I mean? You don't get on the pound-for-pound list when you beat fellas like Leo Santa Cruz at 135. Or was that fight at 130? I probably believe it was at 130. Bringing him up from featherweight. Now, yes, Santa Cruz had a fight against a nobody at 130. But he had never been stopped or knocked out, and Tank Davis took full advantage of the weight advantage, and he knocked him out, you know what I mean? Although he was getting touched up in that fight, it was just a matter of Tank being the bigger fighter. He ate the punches that the man Leo Santa Cruz hit him with, and eventually he stopped him. You don't get on the pound for pound list when you beat fellas like Yuriokis Gamboa, who was pushing 40 by the time Tank Davis fought him, and Tank Davis looked like trash in that fight. You know what I mean? You know. Then there's the Ricardo Nunez. I believe that was as mandatory for one of those straps he held. I don't even know which one it is, because Tank Davis has held more regular world titles than legitimate world titles. Hugo Ruiz, that's another guy Tank Davis fought that he brought up from. They fought probably at 130, I think 130. He brought him up in weight. This is a guy who started his career at either bantamweight or super flyweight. You know what I mean? Jesus Cuela, the Francisco Fonsecos. You know, the best name that Tank Davis has on his resume, and when he fought him at the time, was Jose Pedraza. A great fight, exciting fight. He got the stoppage, although he faced some adversity. But you can't compare these type of names to the guys Cannoli has fought. And that's just the truth about it. Now, Tank Davis is probably a smart guy when it comes to social media, going to have us talking about it. Probably have his name connected to the hip to a Tank Davis. I'm sorry, to a Cannoli. But at the end of the day, man, I think he's out of pocket for even considering himself or considering Cannoli him. You know what I mean? First of all, they even fight different. Tank Davis doesn't have the head movement and the upper body reflexes like the man, what's his name? Cannoli, you know what I mean? You know, Tank Davis is a big puncher, yes. But he's a big puncher who's also fighting guys who are smaller than him. Although Mario Barrios was a bigger fighter, yes. But Mario Barrios wasn't really a good fighter as far as a guy who will, make boxing fans consider that Tank Davis be one of the best 140 pounders out there. That's quite not the case. There's fellas like Regis Prograis who wanted smoke with Tank. And Tank was mum's the word. He was quiet, you know what I mean? Quiet as a church mouse when the man was calling him out, you know what I mean? So, him saying that, come on, man. Look at the guy he's fighting this week, sometime in December, whenever his pay-per-view fight is. This, Isaac Cruz, Pitbull Cruz. Now, this guy's a late-minute replacement, you know what I mean? But he's another smaller guy as far as short in stature. While the man Tank Davis was supposed to be fighting Rolly Romero, who was a bigger fighter as far as height. Now, that's going to be a contrast of styles, you know what I mean? We'll see how Tank Davis deals with this Isaac Cruz. I believe he's going to win possibly by knockout because he's an overwhelming favorite per usual. Just like Cannoli is, you know what I mean? He was a 10-1 favorite against the man Caleb Plant in an undisputed fight. So really nobody on planet Earth, I don't know anybody, even Mike Tyson said, that Canelo going to blow this dude out. And sure enough, he did. But at the end of the day, Canelo has faced some adversity fighting guys with difficult styles, whether it's Austin Trout's, Floyd Mayweather's, Erislandy Lara's, Triple G in the first fight. He's had a lot of controversial decisions, but at least he's been in these type of fights where he's had to fight to his best abilities. You know what I mean? Even though, whether it's the footwork that was giving him problems with fighters like Trout, Mayweather, and Lara, or Triple G's aggression, and Cannoli in that first fight was really trying to be like a slick boxer, trying to fight on the back foot and be that slick counter puncher, you know what I mean? And eventually, if you watch that first fight with Triple G, he started to gas out in the second half, and that's when Triple G started to pick up rounds, you know what I mean? Tank Davis has never been in those type of fights, and he gets hit way more often than Cannoli does with flush shots, you know what I mean? I was really looking forward to the Rolly Romero fight versus Tank Davis. As a matter of fact, it was Rolly Romero who was really selling that pay-per-view. He was talking crazy trash from the press conference to the doing interviews with the media. He still is talking trash, you know what I mean? Unfortunately, we're not going to see that fight. Hopefully, we will sooner than later. But I think that man was out of pocket, you know what I mean? Straight up and down for even considering himself. You know, the man is considering Canoli being him at one. No, Tank Davis. Canoli's won world titles at 154, 160, 168, and even 175. 4 different weight classes. Legitimate straps, not no regular shit. Even though he did win a regular joint at 168, you know, now he's swept the whole division and got all the straps. You know what I mean? You checking much? What's up, Mike 104 in the chat? He says, yeah. And I'm Michael Jordan in the streets. I'm the Floyd Mayweather at heavyweight. Exactly. You know, this is ridiculous. You know what I mean? Like, this is like, I don't know, like consider like in the NBA. You know, a good player. I don't know. Let me give an example. Let's say this kid I just watched tonight, Tyrese Maxey on the Philadelphia 76ers. He's having a couple good games. Couple back-to-back 30-point nights for the second-year player, you know what I mean? So big ups to him. But that's like him sitting down and tweeting at his home. Paul George or Kawhi Leonard is me at small forward or something. Facts. You'd be like, Tyrone Max, what the hell you done compared to Paul George and a Kawhi Leonard in the NBA? You know what I mean? So, you know, I think Tank Davis really got to, look, man, all he has to do is fight legitimate opponents. If he's campaigning at 135, we want to see him versus Devin Haney. He'll knock out Ryan Garcia, but that's a good fight for both guys as far as whoever wins that fight. You know, they'll gain a new fan base, a new following. There's Devin Haney, Teofimo Lopez, Lomachenko, even a Richard Comey. These type of fighters, you know what I mean? Even the Jose Pedraza. You know, these guys are better opponents than who he does usually fight. So time will tell. We shall see. But yo, Be March Boxing, big ups to everybody in the chat. Leave your thoughts and comments and let me know. Do you think it's out of pocket for the man to be even considering himself on Canoli's level with that ridiculous tweet? Be March Boxing, I'm gone. Peace.